Hello there. In this session I will explain some of the logical functions in Excel. Let's start from the function if. If function exists in Excel from 2003. The if function tests a condition and returns one value for a true result and another value for a false result. Let's take a look at the example and we will understand it better. Here I have a data set with sales of chocolate products by channels. It is by dates, and I have the information about units sold, price, cost, total sales, total cost, and contribution. I want to test a condition now about the price. If the price is below some or above of some amount, I want to increase or decrease it. So if I want to change price based on some condition, if function is the good way to work with. Let's enter the price here. Let's add another column in this table and let's start typing the if function. So equals if, and then we see the syntax of the function. It has 3 arguments and it starts from the logical test where we will enter our condition. And the second argument is what should we see if it's true, and the last argument is what should we see if it's false. Let's enter the logical test first and say if price is higher than 30, then increase the price by 10%. So I will click on the price cell again and I will multiply it by 1.1 to increase it by 10%. Otherwise, the last argument will be keep the price the same, or you can enter reduce the price or whatever, but let's keep the price the same for this example and then enter. So we see here that this price was above 30, so it was increased by 3.2 euro, and that is 10%. And here I have used the mathematical operators. So with the if function, you can easily use all the mathematical operators. Like if you want price is higher than 30, or if you want price is higher than equals than 30, then you can enter the equal sign as well. And the same you can use for the less or does not equal. Let's have another example. And we can say that we can work on the assortments now. We can say that if the assortment name is this, and I have the unique assortment names here, I will choose one of them, then increase the price by this, otherwise increase it by another percentage. Let's type the expression equals if, and we are choosing our logical text is an assortment now. If this is, and let's choose one of the names, this one, and you can enter the text in the quotation marks if you want, or you can have a link with another cell, but in that case make it the absolute, that it does not change. Well, if assortment is increase the price by, let's say, 20%, so by 1.2. Otherwise, increase the price only by 5%. So we will multiply it by 1.05. So like this was not the product that we chose. So price is increased only by 5%. I see it here. And if I choose the product, it was this one. Let's filter it. Plain bar milk. It was this one. And this price here is increased by 20%. So it is correct, our calculation. Remove the filter now. Let's have another example, like I will use the cost now. You can also enter like the text conditions as well. If you want to grade some, it's like we are talking about prices now or cost. If the cost is higher or below of this, then it's the high cost, or it's the middle cost, or it's the low cost. Let's type that example. If, and our logical text is the cost now. If cost is higher or equals to 16, then it is the high cost, and I want to enter the text, so I will enter in the quotation marks. Otherwise it is low. Well, here cost was below 16, so we see low here, and if I choose 17 and 16, because we said it equals it or is higher 17, we have the high. It is quite a useful way to give some rating to numbers. The if function can be also combined with the and or if you want to extend the logical text, and it is a very useful capability of if. I will show you on the example now. Let's have another price, and let's combine the if function with the and function, and with the or function it is working in the same way. Let's say if we want that to work on the price, if the price is let's say like that, less than 32 but is higher than 29, then increase it by 10%, otherwise increase it by 5%. So we have two conditions now that must be, both of them must be satisfied. So in this case I will use the and function, and I will enter it in the first argument, in the logical text argument. I will enter and say our logical argument was price. If price is less than 32, and these are the arguments for the and function now, and the second argument, but if it is higher than 29, and this is the first argument for if, so comma, then increase the price by 20%, let's take 20%, otherwise increase the price by 10%. Close parentheses and enter. So we had now two conditions to satisfy. The price should be between 32 and 39, and for that we incorporated and function in the if function. In the same way you can use the or function as well. The way of working is the same. If functions can be nested as well. Like if you have to satisfy more than two conditions, you can nest one if function in another if function. Let's have a look now how it works. In this column I will type the if function equals if, and let's say if the assortment, and I will use this cell as the logical text, if the name of this product is, use this first one from my list and make it the absolute. Alternatively you can use the text in the quotation marks. So if the name is Maxi Tablet Almond, then write that it's a milk one, milk chocolate. And I'm not entering the last condition for the false now because I have the second true condition. So instead of the last argument I will type another if function. If this is another name, just choose tablet dark orange, then give me the word dark, and if I have only two conditions, I will stop it here, and here I will enter the third false argument. Otherwise, give the name white, and I will enter it in the quotation marks, and I will close the parentheses and close the parentheses because we have two functions here combined, and enter. And this was the milk chocolate, and in the filter we can see, well, I did not make this the absolute. Always be careful with this one. And now we must have three products here. So this is a quite useful way for using two or more conditions, but mainly it is a good practice to use it for 2 or 3 conditions. But if you have more conditions, you don't want to nest so many if functions in one. It can be confusing, and you must be careful also how you nest them. In that case, if you have more than 3 conditions, it's better to use another functions like ifs or switch. Or a good practice is also to make some small lookup table and then look up different conditions by using the function VLOOKUP. So there are other possibilities for that. But if you want to nest if functions in the if, then you can nest 64 functions in one. So it's a huge list. And one more note about the if function: it does not support wildcards. So if you want to combine if with wildcards, then you can combine it with the COUNTIF function that is supporting wildcards. Function ifs. Ifs is another logical function of Excel, and it is a new one. It is available in the Office 365 and Excel 2019. Ifs function evaluates multiple conditions without multiple nested if statements. We saw in the previous example that we could nest if functions between each other, and we could nest 64 if functions, but then the code is not very readable. So if you want to achieve more readable and easier code, it's a better way than to use the ifs functions. Let's have a look at the example. I will insert a new one, and let's work on the price again. And in this case, let's use the function ifs. So equals and ifs. You can see the syntax. It does not have the limited number of arguments, so you can enter as many conditions as you want, and it starts the logical text, and then you can continue with different conditions. Let's work on the assortment, and let's say if the assortment is, and I will use the list from this table here, if assortment is this product, and don't forget to make it absolute, then let's say increase the price by 10% again. Then directly we are entering the second condition. If assortment is the next product, increase the price, comma, and price, increase the price by 5%. Next condition, if this is this product, well, make them absolute references, F4, F4, then increase the price by 20%, and we can continue like that until we have all the products. And it does not have the last false condition, So you must enter all the conditions there. If in this formula you don't enter the ifs conditions and formula can't find that in the list, then it will show like the error message. Or to avoid that situation, you can enter the last true condition. You can say if it's true, and it will apply to all the products that you did not enter as conditions. If it's true, comma, then keep the price the same. And in that case, the formula will work completely for all the products. Let's enter. And let's see what do we have in the drop down. We don't have any NAs or mistakes. So it is a quite good way when you have many conditions. You can enter all the conditions one by one here, and it is quite easily readable. And sometimes in the if function you can make mistakes because you are nesting them in the if function if you have more than 3, and sometimes you can forget extra parentheses and so on. But in this if situation you won't make those mistakes. So can be a good solution for the conditions when you have several of them. But don't forget to enter the final condition. Otherwise, if I remove it here for the example, let's delete the final condition. That means in this list, like we have more than 10 products, we are testing only 3 conditions and we don't have the final condition. If I keep the formula like that, what will happen? We will get some NAs because we did not satisfy all the conditions. And that's why return our true back. With this final condition, you can avoid that problem. Well, quite a new way of working with ifs from the new Office, and can be very useful in some of the situations. Another logical function I want to talk about is the function switch. Switch is a new function as well, like ifs, and it is available in the Office 365 and 2019. Actually, I was using switch in DAX and I even did not know that it existed in Excel. So it's quite good that it is available here. Can be very useful in some of the specific situations. Let's have a look at the example now, and it is easier to understand. What I want to do, I have the different types of assortments here and I want to grade them. I can say if the assortment name is this, then grade it like 1 or another number. Let's start typing the function switch, and this is the syntax of that, and you can see by dots that it does not have the limited arguments. So you can enter actually 126 arguments there. The same applies to ifs. But the first one is the expression. So this is the cell I want to work with, so I will click there. And this is the difference between ifs as well. In the if function, if you remember, we were entering this expression every time to evaluate it. But in this switch, you will enter it in only once at the beginning. So we clicked on the assortment cell and then say, if this is, and let's take the names. This one, for example, and let's make it absolute, then grade it as 1. If this is this one, this name, then grade it as 2. And we can continue like that for all the grading of products. Give it grading numbers. So, and alternatively, if you have some text or some names, and you instead of that you want to use another text or numbers and so on, that is switch is working actually in the way what the name says. It switches the information that you want to disclose in the cell. And the last argument we will enter if the conditions are not true. So we will enter the last argument to be satisfied in all the rest of the situations. So we can enter the other and close the parentheses, and let's see what we will get. So for this product we got 1, for others we got 2, 3, and for the rest we got others. And because I have entered the last argument, in case that other situations we are not satisfied, we are not true, so we did not get any NAs and any mistakes here. So that is the way how this switch is working. But it has some limitations as well. It is limited to exact matching, and you can't use the mathematical operators in switch like we can use in if and if functions. And in the if and if functions we could work on the price and increase or decrease it, but in the switch you can't do that. So switch is a good way to instead of one name to enter another, or just grading. So it has its purposes. And like the ifs function, it can handle approximately 126 values in its syntax. So in that case it is it can be quite handy for some of the specific situations. Well, that was all about the logical functions of Excel, and hope this was informative.